your property matters, your favourite personal friendly estate agent. And today I'm joined by someone I sold their property and they bought a property through me, Natalie Davis.
Mark.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Yeah, good.
I'm really pleased to be able to share with everybody how happy I was with, like you just mentioned, the fact that we sold our property through you and we found our perfect family home through you as well. So it really was a bonus for both to be with you, and we were so happy.
Great. That's so good. That's so good. Thank you very much. So we're actually now sitting in your new house, in the living room of the new house, and I think really just let's sort of talk about the journey of how we met and what actually happened. And
well, it was interesting because my husband was looking online, just, obviously there's been a lot of negativity out there surrounding the property market, and we might have thought at the time it was crazy to be looking at moving during this time, but it was from looking that my husband saw the house that now is our home, and we just thought we would go with the flow, and we made contact with you. Obviously before we came to view the property, I got you round to come and see our home. And we just felt so comfortable with the non-pressurizing approach from yourself. And we just felt that we just had to go with this moment. It wasn't actually something that we thought we were going to do at that time. And it just proves that sometimes you have to trust the process, and the rest is history, because we've got a lovely person in our previous home that is really happy, and we are really happy here. And I know that the people that we brought from are also very happy, moved into their new home. And we were very fortunate, a smooth process. So I wanted to share this with people because there's a lot surrounding all negativity, and I'm for sharing a positive experience.
Yeah, great. I mean, I'm the same way, and that's how why we gelled so well during the whole thing, because we both were just like looking at it so positively. And even when it was challenging, and it was, because we went through periods where there were no viewings on your property, and there was the pressure because you'd already shown interest, you'd made a tentative offer on this house that you're in now. But we weren't sure if the chain was going to be closed. But then it just happened. We believed. We really did believe.
Yeah, I think that obviously they say that one of the most stressful things to do is to move. And I think that maybe that's what puts people off grasping these opportunities and going with the moment. And because we didn't put that, negativity on our situation, we just went with it, and that's what I think is something that I wanted to share with people.
And I think that it was quite interesting as well during the process, and this is something that I think people should realise, because we'll get on to the befores and afters, because you've done a lot of work to this house in such a short space of time, and I think you did very well choosing your builders and everything. But during the process, there were times when you could pull out, and people would have pulled out because you had a survey done on the house. It had pretty poor survey report, but you wanted this property, and sometimes it's about looking at long term. You're not moving into a house for a couple of years. You're moving into a property. You've got
I've got my family, and I think for me it was in an area where I could see me bringing up my family, and the road is a lovely road, and I knew that the things that had come up in the survey were things that could be put right. Obviously that comes at a price, and where you obviously came into your own with helping not only us, obviously the people we were buying from, to reassure them that they were doing the right thing, in that they felt very comfortable with us when we came along, and they wanted nice people to buy their home. They were here for 40 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So the essence of the house, although yes, we have made some big changes, things like rewiring, and there was some damp proofing that we had to do, and these are all things that people might be alarmed with and think, I don't want that, I don't want to go through with all of that, but they're all things that can be put right. right.
Yeah.
And if you have got the right team that are able to, like, I say team, actually, I feel like you are a team because you do everything, which is what is so remarkable, because you think that an agency with a whole team of people is going to be more productive than one person, when in fact you do everything, but you know where you're at, and the communication and everything is very clear. And I always felt that I could get in touch with you and that you responded. And I think that that's really important, which again is why I wanted to, be able to share this with people.
Kind of you, because actually you were the person that suggested that we even do this talk in the first place, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, because it's all, a lot of people, they don't get to hear the good about people. A lot of people out there are good to criticise and talk badly of people, but why not share the good experiences? Which is why I think this is something that's really important, particularly at the moment with all the negative press and the fear in people of what to do. I think you can't put things on hold. No,
I think that's so. I mean, look, it's like everyone has a life, all right, and it's, we do put things on hold in our life because we can't afford certain things. We have dreams and we think, it's not ready, it's not the right time. But actually the right time is when you want it to happen. I always say it's like when people plan to have children, and a lot of people plan to have children and they say, well, we're not ready for it yet. It's going to be maybe a year, maybe 2 years. But then other people have children. My mum always says, we didn't plan.
There's never,
we just had children.
Yeah, there's never a right time. But I think if you block things off, and obviously this whole connection of the spiritual side of things that we were talking about as well. Obviously, that's not going to be for everybody. No. But I felt like you just said at the beginning of our chat about a connection. I think that you've got to be able to work with the person that's looking after the sale of your home and buying a new home, and you've got to have that connection, that initial.
You do. I find that, for me, I find that quite frustrating when people block that. It's like it's like for me to get the best results, I need to connect with the seller or the buyers, and I need to have that connection. I need to know, people have to be open with me, because then I won't take advantage of that. I'll make it work for them. It's like when you go to a doctor and you talk about your symptoms, you're not going to hold things back. You're going to say, this is what's wrong with me, because you want them to help you. And it's the same with anything. That's how I like to work.
But I also feel what's nice, and again, which is where this talk's come about from, to share with everyone, is that I didn't feel like, well, we brought our home and that's the end of our connection. I thought it was really nice, the aftercare in that, I still feel...
It's still staying
friendly. Of course.
It's like we talk. So another thing, while we're here, is I came last week to see the house after it's basically finished, and it's very different from the way that it looked when I put it on the market. And going to show you now some before and after shots of the house. So as you can see, the living room. So what have you done to the living room?
Well, the living room, the essence of it in terms of structurally is still the same.
Yes.
But what we've done is we've brightened it up. We have changed the flooring. We decoratively have made it a blank canvas, which is then, complemented our furniture that we had from our previous home. Everything's just fitted in, but what we've noticed is that the light is just pouring into the house.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because it actually, must admit, it was a darker room beforehand. And then one thing I always suggested was the garage. I always saw the garage in this house as the big potential, an integral garage, and you've knocked through from the living room into the garage, and you've created
a separate area for the kids to go and chill out, and it just feels like a room, which we love. It's not an extension of the lounge. I feel because you've got the alcove into the room, once the door's shut, it's just a nice place to chill and have then our own lounge space for ourselves, so that we can feel that we're not on top of each other as a family, which I really, really like. And we're making use of the space.
Yeah, absolutely. So the kitchen, you haven't really changed too much, but you created a utility room.
Yes.
With the outer part of the garage as well.
Yeah, the way that they split the garage made it that we could have the living space and also a versatile utility area, which is brilliant because washing machine and all the appliances are out of the kitchen. And yeah, I mean, what's nice about the kitchen is that we just gave it a little bit of modern touches with changing the handles, the worktop, some new appliances. But you know, we do see possibly in the future maybe extending and doing a new kitchen. It's always nice to have aspirations, but we do love it as it is. We've just given it, you know, a little bit of a modern twist to the current kitchen that was there.
That's it.
We're really happy.
So the thing that's really impressed me is things to visualise. So upstairs, what you've done is you're actually using a different bedroom as the master bedroom from the previous owners, because both the front bedrooms were virtually the same size, but you've created an incredible ensuite, and it's so good to see the ensuite.
Well, it was actually, I must say the builders were brilliant as well that we used, in that they guided us with the possible options, and we went with it, and we're so pleased we did, because over the stairs, which was obviously not visual for anyone to see, so with the right advice, you know, things are possible, and we've created this ensuite onto our bedroom.
I will actually say that I had, you know, I was showing people around the house before you, and people were finding it hard to visualise putting an ensuite. People were saying comments, you know, again being negative, saying you'll never get an ensuite on there, and the space.
Well,
is not
you couldn't see the space,
no.
And you know, certain things you do need guidance, and if you get the right guidance, then things, you know, are possible. There were things that weren't possible, and that was fine, but there was a lot that was, and as you can see, the difference is unbelievable.
It really is. And obviously you've completely changed the look of the bathroom, which looks incredible, and you've given more space now to bedroom 3 by removing the cupboards and the units in there.
But the most important thing, I think, is that the feel of this house is still the same feel as what we loved about it. So that's why we wanted this home, because it had the right energy, the right vibes. When I walked in, I felt that it was just, you know, the perfect home for us, for our family. So even though I feel like we've, you know, just added a bit of life to the house with our touch, but you know, it doesn't have to be that you go crazy and do, you know, even if you just put the walls back to a neutral colour, and that's it. It changes the whole feel of a house.
Absolutely. Do you know what? I think that the house it's fresh. It does feel the same, but it feels like your house. It's your energy. And because I sold your last house for you, then I know what I'm talking about with that, because I spent plenty of time in that house too. You know, I mean, besides everything else, obviously, just to let people know, if you're wondering where we are, we're on Little Bushey Lane in Bushey. And obviously with the work that you've done, what impressed me was the speed, because it took 7 weeks, wasn't it?
Yes, it did. I mean, they were fantastic. They were really, really good. And but speed with quality still.
Absolutely.
Obviously, when you're doing structural work with extensions and things like that you're looking at a longer time frame. But you know, with the patience, and there were a couple of moments where I was getting a little bit on edge with, you know, I like everything, as you can see, in its place. But you know, you just have to believe that it's worth it, and in the end, you know, my friends that are popping over really can't believe it, because they saw the house prior to the work starting. They then came and saw me during the process, and now they've seen the now, like you have. And it just, you know, shows you that it is possible. And you know, anybody that's thinking about moving on and one thing I'm not scared of is change. A lot of people get a little bit apprehensive about the thought of change, but change is good.
Well, look, I just really want to just say congratulations and wishing you and the family all the best of luck in this home. Really, thank you so much for inviting me back in and actually saying these wonderful things. And obviously, you know, I'm happy to help anybody and assist anybody, which I do. I'm a busy guy. I'm a busy estate agent, and my business has grown and it is successful, and I love doing it. So thank you so much, and we're staying friends.
Definitely. Well, we've been really happy, and it's a pleasure to have worked, you know, with you to be able to look after us. Not that we want to be moving anytime soon, but we're all for helping people out there to make the introduction, so that they get in touch with you, because they'll be in good hands, that's for sure.
Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.